Leuk jullie te ontmoeten. I'll speak in English, so if anyone needs vertaling at any time, just raise your hand and someone will be the vertaler from the crowd. I like to do a little meditation. I will speak during part of it, and then a short talk and time for questions and comments. So to begin with, if you'd like to close your eyes, be comfortable. The first understanding in meditation is to let everything be as it is right now, including your worries, your problems. How is it when I let everything be in my life exactly as it is? And just let the breath settle with this idea. Let the breath settle into your belly. Let it deepen naturally. With your breath, with regard to your state of mind as well, and the situations in your life, let's take the attitude of no strategy to change or manipulate, not trying to reach a special state, not trying to go anywhere or change how your mind and body feel right now. Just allowing it to be exactly as it is. Along with that, the idea that there is nothing to receive from me, there is no special energy that you're supposed to get. There is no special state of stillness that you are supposed to be put into during this meditation or this talk. You may find that stillness happens. You may find that energy opens. You may find that energy closes, or the mind becomes disturbed. But what's really important, and what we're here to discover together, is the essential attitude or understanding that liberates a human being. This is an understanding that no one can give to you from the outside. It can be shared, it can be spoken, but enlightenment or self-realization is not given from one to another. It is a matter of discovering this understanding within ourselves, for ourselves. It's an inside job, and we're all on the inside together. Let's rest here for 5 to 10 minutes, and I will begin to speak. You are the pure observer already in meditation, out of meditation, in stillness or movement. The observing awareness is present. It doesn't have to be created, perfected, improved upon. And there is no discipline to master. There is no way other than understanding our mind, our situation. Nothing can be renounced. Nothing can be given up or transcended except through understanding, which is love. Wisdom and love is what liberates the mind. There is nothing else than this. If you'd like to open your eyes, that's fine. If you'd like to keep them closed, that's fine too. There's a saying in Zen, when enlightenment is deep, your whole being is dancing. When the realization is deep, your whole being is dancing. There's a liberation of energy, of emotion, of thought that comes when the understanding of the nature of existence has penetrated our confusion. There's a total freeing up of the whole system from top to bottom of the human being, the human vehicle. And this pure understanding is what allows the dance of energy and mind and emotion and movement in the world to become a blissful dance, to exist in flow. I assume that everyone here would prefer life to be a dance than to be a wrestling match, a constant negotiation, an argument with God, with your husband or wife, your children, with the world. And what is it that allows this quality of free movement and dancing with life to happen? The understanding that the dance of duality is taking place within oneness. And what is that one? We know what the duality is. The duality is these bodies and everything they encounter. There's an actual world of manifestation that is moving constantly. But what is the oneness made of? What is the one? In your own experience, what is the unchanging factor? It's awareness. It's pure presence. It's this quality of intelligent knowing that allows us to have any experience at all. That's what I mean when I use the word consciousness or awareness or spirit. It's this ability to see, feel, hear thoughts, sensory experience. And this awareness cannot be located inside a body or outside. It's not above your head. It's not behind your head. It's not down in the earth. It's just everywhere, so to speak. It's non-spatial. It's timeless. And this has always been you. This is the one. So as we come to know that very deeply and to recognize it as our true identity, the dance of duality takes place in this mutual knowing of essence, which is love. And this knowing is what starts to shine the light through all the conditionings, all the habits, all the beliefs. It works as a solvent to penetrate and dissolve who we think we are, how we think things should be. Taking a strong stance as the observer, as pure presence, creates this light in the mind, an opening, a silence that softens the whole personality structure. So, what's traditionally called enlightenment or liberation has nothing to do with getting rid of the personality. Many spiritual seekers are doing violence to the personality and trying to make it reach a certain ideal or achieve a state of total stillness and no thinking, or to manifest the most perfect ideal of love that can be imagined. But that's just imagination. The personality doesn't have to be changed. It just has to be freed from identity. The mind, The personality that we have is just a neutral vehicle for the light of consciousness to shine through. And when the light of consciousness shines through all the conditionings, this is how we register a new kind of intimacy in life. Enlightenment is intimacy with all things, is an old Zen saying. And the irony is that, or paradox is that, it's by discovering the universal or impersonal view that brings about this incredible intimacy. It's not destroying everything that's personal. It's just bringing it into the essence. But when we take ourselves to be the person, and we have a very solid, fixed, stubborn identity with the person we think we are, with the habits of mind that we've gathered, accumulated, inherited, then we're walking around in the world as an object, encountering other objects, and treating other beings as objects as well, as separate from us. And this is the state of the world of most of humanity, as we can see. So the saying goes that to study the way of awakening is to study the self. To study the self is to forget the self. And to forget the self is to be enlightened by all things. So in coming to know ourselves as pure presence, as this universal light of awareness, we're freed from all this alienation. We're coming back to the home ground of innocence, humility, transparency. And it's from this position that we can fulfill whatever role in life is ours to fulfill, with a sense of grace, with natural trust in what is. This is how we get out of our own way, by seeing that we're not who we think we are. The trick of this is that to see that the mind patterns are not who we are, we actually have to take total responsibility for them. Not to feel guilty, not to take these patterns personally, but to say, this is the karma, this is the package of conditioning that has come down the line, the universe, the line of the universe, into my experience. So it's my karma, it's my share of karma in the world to enlighten. And it's a great relief to start to look at all the noise and all the chaos in the mind as not me and not mine. Whatever's coming through the mind and the emotions day by day never defines you. Whatever you've done, positive or negative, has never changed you. There's a saying, today's enlightenment is tomorrow's mistake. So even when we come to a great realization and we come to the fundamental shift of identity, there's still going to be mistakes, conditioning to see through. There's no perfect personality. There's no instant perfection. But life can be lived on the ground of this incredible knowing, which is forgiveness, which is salvation. And the joy or the bliss that this understanding brings is not exactly a state that can be grabbed onto. It's the bliss that doesn't even need bliss. It's just well-being. There may be states of intense bliss and joy as we start to open up. But those come and go. The bliss of liberation that stays is knowing that I'm okay no matter what. Knowing your true nature is love, is well-being. Whether the mind feels noisy or not, whether the body feels heavy or not, healthy or sick. This is unconditionality. This is the unconditional love that everyone's looking for. Because the light of pure awareness is shining unconditionally all the time on whatever it sees. And from its standpoint, there's nothing wrong. Its standpoint is just to see, to liberate, to embrace, to uplift. So transformation doesn't happen through struggling. It happens through awareness. If you'd like to take a moment, consider what brought you here to this talk. Is there a deep life question that's been on your mind lately. A spiritual question you haven't been able to clarify, maybe. And then we can begin to discuss. Just raise your hand if you'd like to bring that question out. Yes. The question is, how would I consider coincidence? Can you say more why you're concerned about that? Fate or coincidence is the man's question. What to believe about it. Fundamentally, life is to wake us up. Events are here to help us to wake up. There are many events that don't seem to have much to do with waking up, that are just part of a karmic script that's happening. But there are those events that one may call coincidence or synchronicity, or grace, that tend to prove to us that there is a greater force working in existence with a certain purpose. You're only going to know by listening to your own life what is important and what is not. What is a sign or meaningful to you and what is not. I wouldn't get caught up looking always for signs or meaning in every event. Really, the question is only going to be answered through your own deepening sensitivity and awareness in your life. Okay. Yes, sir.
Something is I'm doubting something about it's good to be open always and trust everyone if you're connected with everybody. If you are connected and everyone
Yes. Ah, okay. You're doubting whether to be open and trusting of everybody all the time because we're all one? Yes. No, you certainly cannot trust everyone. And the love and the trust is in our true nature. It's not in the mind and the actions of people. If I'm not identified with my true nature, I'm not trustworthy, of course. So you shouldn't confuse the levels. You don't have to like everyone. You don't have to trust every situation on the level of practicality. But you develop a trust in the truth. When you sense there is physical danger or an unhealthy relationship or a destructive work environment or a business partner who seems to be rather sneaky, no, you should certainly trust in your clarity and act appropriately. You can do so knowing that the other person fundamentally is the same essence. But out in the world, we're not all aware of that at all. So it's not loving to pretend that we are and to force yourself to act foolishly. So please free yourself from that notion and gather with those with whom you share a natural affection and sympathy of mind. This is practical wisdom. Sometimes we think that when we're enlightened, we'll be able to overcome all limitations. It's not true. I have a friend who said, was living in Berkeley, near San Francisco. And she was saying that the energy of being in the city was affecting her energy. She's very sensitive. And she said, when I'm enlightened, maybe I won't be affected. I can just roam around in a great big love bubble. No. No. This has nothing to do with enlightenment. Energy and mind and the body have their own needs, which should be respected. Some people who have trauma, physical abuse in childhood, emotional abuse, maybe in relationships too, in adulthood, they go through an awakening. And this does heal the mind on a very deep level. It allows them to heal that deepest wound of feeling separate or unloved or in danger. When you know that what you are, no one can take from you, that the love you are can never be changed. However, the mind and the body have been affected by the trauma. And so that mind and body may still need a lot of structure, a lot of safety, a lot of quietude. So enlightenment doesn't fix all of that. It allows us really to listen, finally, and give this mind and body what it needs. To know when you're tired, when you're overworked, when you need to be alone, when you need company, and so forth. Okay, next question. Yes, hi.
I got a question. Today I was practicing Kung Fu out in the open, and kids called and made remarks about it. So I really get annoyed about it, and it really fucks up my whole emotional state. It's something out of the past when I was bullied to bring some memories. And I come across those kinds of situations a lot of times still, now when I'm adult life. Yeah, how can I deal with it? Because it makes me want to flee away from the world. In a way, I love people, but I also hate people.
Well, people can be obnoxious, huh? Oh yeah, thank you, Yolanda. The man was saying that he was out in the open practicing Kung Fu today, and some young children starting to making remarks and making fun, and he has been bullied as a child, and so there's an echo of being very upset and threatened, I think, by that kind of thing. So how to overcome. So children too can be very obnoxious, aren't they? Or insensitive sometimes. Yeah, to each other, and yeah. When you understand, you can forgive. The saying is, to understand all is to forgive all. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. You've all heard this? You may feel upset and overwhelmed for some time still. Yes, yeah, but you're still pretty young. Yeah, okay, you have time. As you keep forgiving, keep understanding why others act this way out of unconsciousness, you will find the love and strength in yourself. You will be able to react less. The understanding of your true nature will also free you more and more from self-image, from pride, and also from the shame, in your case especially, which came from the bullying. If you stay with the knowledge that you are the pure observer, which is pure love. These echoes will become smaller and smaller. Your experience of being bullied or being laughed at will open up more compassion and love and strength in you in time. And you, by staying with that, will become the teacher to those who have been bullies or who were bullied. If you have to practice Kung Fu alone for a while, then I would suggest you do so. I hope that helps. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
What did you say to this friend in Berkeley?
The man asked, "What did I say to the friend in Berkeley?" Well, I said, "This is not true. What you're saying to yourself, what you're doing to yourself, saying that my energy should not be affected, or when I'm enlightened, it won't be affected, because awareness is the only thing that doesn't change. And enlightenment is to know absolutely, beyond any doubt, that you are this pure awareness. Everything else, including the energy body, the emotions, the mind, is subject to change and influence." So I think I just urged her to be compassionate with her own mind and body, and to take care of herself however she needs to.
Would it also be a sign that she should move out of the city?
Yeah. Yes. He asked, could it also be a sign that she needs to move out of the city? Yes. In fact, she had been spending time in a retreat in the south of middle of California with horses and hills everywhere, and doing yoga every day. So Berkeley, with all the hippies everywhere, and Berkeley's not that crazy, but the energy was coming at her. So this was why. But she had to stay in Berkeley. Maybe she has to stay inside a little more. But the truth is, there's still many hills up behind Berkeley. You can escape any day in 10 minutes. You can be totally alone. So, yeah, it's funny too. Yeah, we have it so hard in California, right? Yes. Yes. Okay. The woman is saying she feels love for many things like science, art, mathematics, beauty, and it's a bit harder to love other people. Is that right? And what's the connection? Or is it a different kind of love? This is such a good question. You and I are never going to love what is coming from ignorance in the human mind. In other words, the violence, the bullying, obnoxiousness, the insensitivity, the triviality maybe, rudeness. So it has to be accepted that what is ugly is ugly. Even if I understand that other people act out of unconsciousness, I'm not going to find that action beautiful. So that love that you're talking about for art, science, and beauty these are values that come straight from consciousness. These are higher values. What happens, in my experience, is simply you see others, even if they are unlikable at times, you still see them as innocent. But you can also leave them be and stay with the beauty that you love. You don't have to like everyone. You don't have to become, if you're an introvert, you don't have to become an extrovert. This is another aspect, as many introverts are thinking that they're supposed to become an extrovert. That's not going to happen, I can tell you. But you will find yourself, at least in my experience, with a love for your fellow beings that others can feel. And you will live that love out in the way that's right for you through these activities and higher values that you love. You will serve the whole. So love what you love. Really, the only thing we love is love. You're not supposed to feel any different. Does that help? Okay. There's something more to say about relationships and this question of love. You have to have the right yes for a romantic relationship or a friendship or any relationship. You also have to have the right no. You have to have the ability to say no to relationships that are not right for you. To know when something is off. To know when to leave. And really when we develop that strength of being that says, I know what is true and beautiful and right in my relationships, in my work, then we're no longer frustrated trying to put all our love on the wrong people or situations. You leave all that behind and you go with what works for you. Okay. That's probably enough on that question. Yes, sir. A question about jealousy and shame. Okay. Okay, jealousy and shame, feeling overwhelming and difficult emotions to cope with. Always this jealousy and shame comes back to a self-image of someone who's not enough. This is the very basis of what they call the ego, or I prefer to call it the false self. That for you and for me, it was delivered in a different package, but it's the same problem of believing in a false self, a self that is not enough, that is not fundamentally whole and complete and good. So when we live through this false self-image, which gets constructed from the negative experiences that we've had, then you go and try to have relationships, and this is the dynamic you're still in because of this self-image that's in the way. And you will attract someone who shows you that until you cease to believe it. So you have to keep gaining confidence in the truth. This is gradual. Okay, it could be sudden. It could be that you wake up tomorrow with an incredible opening or awakening. But in many cases, it's gradual. You have to keep trusting and understanding that the mistreatment that you have experienced in the past or that you experience now has nothing to do with you. It has to do, however, with what you have been believing. And as you clean your mind of all these beliefs, you will be able to meet another in more and more truth and true love. And to know that what someone else does has nothing to do with you. It has to do with them. So look to what you take yourself to be. That's a very intimate process of looking within and looking past all of the conditioning. Eventually, situations that bring jealousy and shame will simply no longer have any fuel to keep happening. It will be removed if you focus on discovering your true self. Okay. We still have time, yes?
Maybe someone is angry at me, but it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are loading, how can you protect yourself to get too much bad energy to yourself, but not being so selfish that you cannot sacrifice?
Yes, okay. Okay. So I think the conflict is basically between how do we honor what we need, and also give enough or sacrifice enough so that we're not being totally selfish and self-enclosed. You do have to work on self-realization, waking up to what you are, going deeper into the vastness of what you are, and beyond what you think you are. As you do this, you are going to find that you are finding the right balance, that you know what is a real need for you, for this mind and body, and what is just defensiveness, stubbornness. Really, the understanding is going to hit up against the barriers around your heart. There's going to be a friction that love is working on you to open yourself to others more. And as you do that, you're going to find more of the right balance, so that it's not such a heavy duality between I sacrifice myself or I say, screw you, and I give nothing. And with certain partners, it's not going to work. They may not be the right people to do this with. You will have to look at the relationship and the compatibility to know with whom is it really right to work it out with. Because it's not, sometimes when we're struggling like crazy between sacrifice and self, it's because we're not compatible at all. So you must find out. You must put all of your attention into discovering your true nature in relationship with the other. Because all of life is relationship. Yeah. Okay. Another few questions, perhaps. Yes.
Maybe you could say something about patterns. What, it's coming up in one house, and it's came back in the other house, and in the other house, in the whole city.
The whole city. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Collective, I believe you're asking about collective patterns that arise, energy patterns, mind, maybe certain mind patterns that arise. They start spreading, even from country to country. Well, there are many factors that could be bringing this about. The very good astrologers, maybe they know certain things are affecting the collective energy, astrology. And there are other systems of knowledge that tell us about the collective influences. Or these mind patterns are just coming for no reason. They're just spreading around. The more conscious you are, the less you are affected by collective energies or mind patterns. Because all you really are interested in is truth, and that's where you see from. So the thing is to be free. Whatever who knows what's happening in the world? It's very complicated how all of this is happening. Be free. That's my advice. Yes?
How can you be free if you are conscious, aware of things? Also puts a certain responsibility.
Yes. The question is, how can you be free if you're aware of the different things out in the world that are happening? Because being conscious means there's a certain responsibility. Yeah. Is that the right way to say it? Okay. What we are is timeless and spaceless. Really, consciousness is unchanging. And that's where the freedom is. Nothing can change that. So we're aware of the suffering and the patterns in the world that others are stuck in or believing in. And when we are knowing our true nature, we are, you can say we are totally responsive. We're always responding through wisdom, through love, in the right way for us spontaneously. But we're not responsible to fix all of that, because we cannot. It is, you could say, what is happening out here is God's will, if I may say that word. And God's will is having its way. But God in its essence remains free, even with all of this stuff happening within it. Find out for yourself what this freedom is. To be absolutely free, to be inseparable from others, and yet the karma and conditioning of the world is going to keep going on. We give that over. We give it up. We play our part. One way of saying it was, we just enlighten our corner of the world. Yeah, that's all. That's all you can do. Yes, Yolanda. Closing? Closing up. Thank you all. A pleasure to be with you. And I'll be back on Wednesday in House de Boers. Namaste.